So,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about some of the cool stuff that that's just been done with Distrobox, because you've got a bunch of stuff highlighted here, like people running their desktop environment inside of Distrobox. Like that's just like,
It was an experiment.
mm,
Many
mm,
people actually took it pretty seriously. um, I mean, it works. Then you actually, there is a little difference is that then you actually live inside the container because
mm.
you log in inside the container, then you don't see the host stuff anymore because, regular application are not visible, stuff like that.
Mm.
I think it's useful more for testing stuff or, extreme cases. Okay, but um, that's why I have the disclaimer that it's a very experimental thing,
Mm.
because then people will report bugs about very crazy stuff,
Right.
which, to be honest, as the maintainer of the project, I don't necessarily care about. Like it's not really in scope of what this book is or does.
Mm.
I'm happy people experiment with stuff, and because that will highlight problems that were just dormant somewhere, right? Um, but yeah, at one point you need to draw a line and say,
Mm.
okay, this is in scope, this isn't in scope, or it will become unmanageable pretty quickly.
Right, right. Because there's all manner of things that you could do with it. Like I saw this other one where it's like Japanese input on clear Linux inside a Distrobox. Like you can do a lot
I,
of things with this, and you can. It's just like there comes a point, right, where it's just what is the goal of the project, right? Like, are you trying to support applications, like normal applications that most people are going to run? But there's gonna be these weird applications that aren't normal. Like, a text editor, it doesn't matter what text editor it is, most of them are gonna run in a fairly similar way. But there are applications that have very low level access. There are applications that run in really bizarre ways and need access to weird things. And you just have to, at some point, say, well, okay, it can probably work, but is this something that I want to put my effort into? I'm sure if someone, like, had specific patches to address some, like, weird case like this, like, you'd probably accept it. But at some point you have to decide, like, how much do I want to put in these, maybe like one person is using out there.
yeah, I mean, as long as they do the patch, I'm happy. Like, if
Yeah.
I don't have to, I mean, uh, as long as it's not like a refactor of, I don't know, half of the project just to
Sure.
support one use case. If it's just, I don't know, a little patch where, I don't know, I, something was missing or something was made optional, you're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the problem. That's good. The problem arises when either people are trying to really use, let's say, in not in a wrong way, because I don't think, I mean, when you have a tool, you can still use a screwdriver as a hammer. You're free to do that. It's but it's your problem to use that in that way. Don't come upstream and say, hi, I used to use this as a hammer, now I need to use it as a, I don't know, a drill.
Mm-hmm.
I It's a bit like, I don't know if with the XKCD about the overheating CPU key
Oh,
that was
yes, yes,
part
yes,
of the
yes, yes.
workflow.
Uh,
That one.
mhm.
So yeah, there is a point where we are in that situation, right?
Mhm.
And you have to say no. You have to decline gently the thing, because maybe it's very, very unique and
Mm.
very, very much involved. So that's not worth it.
Mhm. For anyone who hasn't seen that XKCD, so it's about fixing like a bug where if you hold down the spacebar, the CPU overheats. And a user writes, "This update broke my workflow. My control key is hard to reach, so I hold spacebar instead, and I configured Emacs to interpret a rapid temperature rise as control." Admin writes, "That's horrifying." The user writes, "Look, my setup works for me. Just add an option to re-enable spacebar heating." Like, yeah. No, I think it's like a good thing, like, it sort of like relates to like what Linus has said in the past many times, where if a bug is being used by users, it's no longer a bug, it's now a feature. And that can cause issues, depend like how seriously you take that, right? Because if it's like a serious bug, people might have workarounds specifically designed around that, and maybe that is a bug you want to do, but no matter what sort of change you make, you're likely going to run into some sort of breaking change for a user if you have enough people with like eyes on the application.
Actually, like it depends on the software we are talking about. Obviously, something as important as the kernel.
Absolutely, yeah.
You don't want it to break workflow. Something like Distrobox in the end. How many people really care about it? Like I introduced a breaking bug fix in the 1.7 because we changed the way you enter the Distrobox actually. So how the script was working before to export the apps and the binaries. Now it's not compatible anymore, so you have to re-export them to the new version. I think it's an acceptable thing because it improved dramatically how the entering the Distrobox now works, how the weird things like character escaping and all that, really things that you don't think on the spot. You only think when people report the bug, right? And I think it's okay to have this type of breaking bug fixes, as long as you're not really mission critical. So I agree with Linux, but I mean that's the Linux kernel, so
Yeah,
that's pretty much.
Well, I think it also matters if
Too
you're
important.
properly documenting what those changes are as well. Like, if you make a breaking change and then just don't mention it, you're going to get people that are going to be like, what do I do now? Like, what's happened to my application? Like, why does it no longer start, or whatever reason they have.
Yeah. That's why in the release notes I wrote this big the warning about this, and also the fix. I also put there which command to run to just re-export everything so that it still works for you. So that's, I think, nice etiquette to do that. But yeah, as long as it's this stuff, fixing bugs, it's I think more important for software than keeping the not breaking stuff rule. I think